Knockouts are the soul of boxing, those moments where everything builds to one decisive shot that can end a fight in a blink. But let's be honest, not all knockouts are created equal. Sure, some are clinical and devastating, but others, they're downright hilarious. From chicken dances to boxers bouncing off the ropes like rubber balls, funny knockouts offer a strange blend of skill, chaos, and pure comedy gold. Let's start with a classic, Canelo Alvarez vs. Austin Trout in 2013. This fight was no walk in the park, with both fighters going toe-to-toe in a tactical showdown for the WBC and WBA junior middleweight titles. It was a close contest, full of tension and drama, but then came round 7. Canelo, always the sharpshooter, fired off a straight right hand so perfectly timed that it looked like he had drawn a blueprint for it beforehand. Poor Trout didn't just stumble, he staggered backward in a way that resembled a half-hearted attempt at moonwalking. It was as if he thought he could shuffle his way out of trouble, but gravity had other ideas. He hit the canvas, the crowd erupted, and the internet got a fresh meme template for every awkward dance move ever. Now if you thought that was funny, wait until we talk about Neil Dawson vs. Chris Keane in 2013. This fight gave us one of those gravity you had one job moments. Dawson landed a sneaky left hook that basically pressed the off switch on Keane's ability to stand. Keane didn't just go down, he practically melted into the ropes, hanging there like he was auditioning for Cirque du Soleil. When he tried to get back up, his legs betrayed him in the most comedic way possible, wobbling like a toddler learning to walk. It was like his whole body was trying to breakdance, but the music was only playing in his head. The whole thing looked less like a fight and more like a blooper reel, leaving the audience in hysterics. Let's take a detour to 2009 and revisit David Haye vs. Nikolai Valuev, a matchup that was visually absurd as it was entertaining. Valuev, towering at 7 feet tall and over 300 pounds, was the literal definition of a giant in boxing. But Haye didn't care about his size, he cared about landing clean shots, and land one he did, right in the 12th round. Now, Valuev didn't hit the deck, but what followed was somehow even better. The punch sent him into a wobbly stumble that can only be described as tree trying to figure out how to sway in a hurricane.
Sometimes he must feel like it's paper dance against the map. With a left hook, what a finish here! Hey!
Watching a man that large lose his balance in such a comical fashion was like seeing a skyscraper trying to do the limbo. Speaking of giants falling in ridiculous ways, let's not forget the legendary Kostya Tszyu vs. Zab Judah bout in 2001. This one is an all-timer in the funny knockout department. Tszyu landed a right hand so devastating it turned Judah's leg into spaghetti on contact. Judah hit the canvas, popped up almost instantly, and then the real comedy began. Arms flailing, legs wobbling, Judah looked like he was auditioning for a slapstick comedy routine. He tried to convince the referee he was fine, but his legs clearly didn't get the memo, and down he went again. The moment has been replayed countless times, not just for the knockout, but for Judah's Oscar-worthy performance of confusion and denial. Moving on with the classic, William Webber vs. Eric Israel. This showdown at York Hall in London back in 2017 had all the makings of an underdog story. Webber was on a 5-fight losing streak, yet somehow became the favorite against debutant Eric Israel. The fight itself was brutal, but the ending was straight out of a comedy sketch. After absorbing a barrage of punches, Israel hit the canvas like a sack of potatoes. But the real kicker, his attempt to get up. The poor guy wobbled and swayed like a drunk uncle at a wedding before ultimately needing oxygen ringside. It wasn't just a knockout, it was a full-on slapstick performance. Moving on, we have Darnell Boon vs. Adonis Stevenson in 2010. Stevenson, later a world champion, was the heavy favorite, but Boon had other plans. In the second round, Boon landed a right hand that sent Stevenson crashing to the canvas in slow motion, almost as if he was trying to make it look cinematic.
Inching. Hard uppercut, now huge left, down goes Boon! And I don't
Stevenson's leg betrayed him when he tried to stand, wobbling like a newborn deer. It was a shocking upset, also one of the most unintentionally funny moments in boxing. Now let's travel back to 1995 for Carl Daniels versus Julio Cesar Chavez. Chavez, already a legend, was trailing on the scorecards heading into the 11th round. But then came that punch. A left hand that could have knocked down a wall.
Julio Cesar Vasquez. Daniels is hot with a left hand.
Daniels hit the canvas, but the comedy didn't stop there. As he tried to stand, his legs betrayed him in spectacular fashion. He stumbled, swayed, and eventually fell into the ropes like a marionette with his strings cut. The referee stepped in to save him, but the crowd had already gotten its money's worth in unintentional comedy. Then there was Sharif Boger versus Rodolfo Armenta in 2009. This fight turned into an unintentional slapstick comedy routine in the final moments. Boger, with the reflexes of a panther, landed a flurry of punches that left Armenta looking like he was dodging invisible tripwires. At one point, it genuinely seemed like Armenta might break into a cha-cha slide.
So quickly by the quick-handed Boger, Armenta didn't seem to be ready, but now he's definitely not ready as his legs go away and his body goes another.
His stumbling was so dramatic and over the top that it almost looked rehearsed. The referee mercifully called it off, sparing Armenta from further embarrassment, but not before he provided a masterclass in how not to recover from a punch. Of course, no list of funny knockouts would be complete without Greg Jackson versus Cornelius Whitlock in 2015. This was a short fight, but it delivered more entertainment in 3 rounds than some fights manage in 12. Jackson landed a clean shot in the third that sent Whitlock into an impromptu breakdance.
Like he can't get it.
Seriously, if someone had queued up with some music, Whitlock could have turned the ring into a dance floor. It was both impressive and absurd, a reminder that even in defeat, boxers can put up a show. Let's not forget the infamous Audley Harrison versus Michael Sprott in 2007. Harrison, the Olympic gold medalist, was expected to dominate, but Sprott had other ideas. In the third round, Sprott landed a thunderous left hook that sent Harrison sprawling. The funniest part, Harrison's dramatic fall, complete with flailing arms and a delayed reaction that looked like something out of a Looney Tunes cartoon. It wasn't just a knockout, it was a full-blown performance art piece. Then there's Chris Eubank Jr. versus Avni Yildirim in 2017. Eubank Jr. was in prime form, dominating the fight from the start, but the highlight came in the third round when Eubank landed an uppercut that sent Yildirim into another dimension.
Did not guard. Yildirim being forced backwards and a thunderous left hook sends into the canvas.
Turkish boxer froze mid-fall, his face a mix of confusion and resignation, before hitting the canvas with a thud. It was a knockout so clean and comical that even Eubank couldn't help but smirk during the post-fight interview.
Going into the fight, watching Avni, I knew he was very open, and I knew I would capitalize on that.
Now let's jump to Japan in 2000 for Hikaru Tadaka versus Joachim Karud. This fight was already intense, with both boxers throwing bombs like their lives depended on it. By the 8th round, the exhaustion was starting to show. Tadaka landed a brutal right hand that sent Karud into what can only be described as the boxing version of the Harlem Shake. The crowd went wild as Karud stumbled around the ring, his legs seemingly detached from his brain. While he managed to survive that round, the 11th proved too much. Tadaka unleashed a final flurry, sending Karud into the ropes like a ragdoll and forcing the referee to step in. Of course, no discussion of funny knockouts is complete without Mike Tyson versus Trevor Berbick in 1986. This fight marked Tyson's coronation as the youngest heavyweight champion in history, but it also gave us one of the most bizarre knockouts ever. Tyson landed a shot so powerful that Berbick didn't just fall, he fell, got up, and then fell again. It was as if his legs were playing a cruel prank on him, refusing to cooperate every time he tried to stand. Watching Berbick flop around like a malfunctioning robot was both awe-inspiring and hysterical. Tyson's power was no joke, but Berbick's inability to stay upright made this moment an instant classic. Speaking of losing control, who could forget Simon Keane versus Adam Braidwood in 2018? This fight was supposed to be a serious contest for the IBO Intercontinental title, but it turned into a comedy special by the third round. Keane landed a left hook that was so devastating it might as well have been sponsored by a wrecking ball. Braidwood staggered across the ring, arms flailing like a cartoon character slipping on a banana peel, before collapsing into the ropes. The referee had no choice but to call it off. Keane celebrated his 15th consecutive win, while Braidwood's performance earned him a spot in the blooper reel of boxing history. Finally, we have the classic case of Mike Tyson versus Peter McNeely in 1995. This fight was Tyson's return to the ring after his prison stint, and McNeely had no idea what he was walking into. Tyson landed a flurry of punches in the first round that sent McNeely stumbling into the canvas not once, but twice. The second time was particularly hilarious, as McNeely's corner threw in the towel while he was still trying to figure out which way was up.
Mills lanes and stopped that nonsense because they were starting to butt heads. Oh. Tyson with a left hook, right up, and down goes McNeely again. McNeely's hurt.
It was a knockout that was as funny as it was brutal, a fitting reminder of Tyson's dominance and McNeely's misplaced confidence. Boxing is a sport of skill, determination, and discipline, but these moments prove that even the most serious sport can have its lighter side. From the chicken dances to dramatic falls, funny knockouts remind us that even in the heat of battle, there's always room for a good laugh. So, what's your favorite funny knockout? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more boxing content. Until next time, keep your hands up and your sense of humor intact.